What's up, guys? Got another video on this 2012 Chevy Impala. Going to be replacing the front and rear brake pads along with the rotors. First thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and pop your hood. Find your hood release latch here. You're going to push that towards the driver's side. Go ahead and lift up. And then come over here to the driver's side firewall here. Locate your master cylinder reservoir here for your brake fluid. And you want to go ahead and check your level here. So you can see it kind of looks like it's right here at the max line, but that's just stained. It's actually back down. If I stick my flashlight in here, kind of where the plastic meets together, and there's your minimum mark and then your maximum mark. So that is perfect, because what we're going to do is we're going to start compressing in the pistons for the calipers. Once we start pressing all four of those in, this brake fluid level is going to rise. So you want to make sure before you start this job, you're not at the max line to start out with, because once you start pressing those pistons in, that fluid is going to rise and it could overflow from the cap here, and you don't want to get that brake fluid over everything because it is very corrosive. And so if it is above the max line or right at the max line, you can use a turkey baster, suck some of that old fluid out of there. But like I said, we're right at where the plastic joins together here, so we should be good, but we will check it often after we push in each caliper piston. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace this for now so nothing falls down in there. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to do one wheel at a time here. I'll probably start out here on the passenger front one there, and then I'll go ahead and move on to the passenger rear, and that's probably all I'm going to record because the other side is going to be exactly the same. So let's go ahead and get this jacked up. Since I will be jacking up the front end here, I'm just going to go ahead and put a block behind the passenger rear tire. So I'm just going to go ahead and jack up the passenger front here on the pinch weld, and then we'll get a jack stand on there as well. Grab your jack stand. We'll go ahead and place that right next to the jack here. It's about right there. I'll go ahead and slowly lower this. Once it gets set on the jack stand there, I'll go ahead and just tighten my jack back up. We'll leave that under there as well for safety purposes. Next, you want to grab a 19 millimeter or 3/4 inch. Let's go ahead and remove all of our lug nuts here, and then wheel and tire. So with the wheel and tire out of the way, now we can remove our caliper here. What I'm going to do is just take a large flathead screwdriver here. I'm going to stick this in to one of these slots on the rotor here, and then I'm just going to kind of pry, just to kind of move this caliper towards the outside, just to get the brake pads away from the rotor for easier removal. And then go ahead and grab a 13 millimeter. Let's go ahead and remove both of these caliper bolts here. And if this starts turning on you, you can either hold it with your finger here, or you can get a wrench or some vice grips just to hold that, keep that from spinning there. We'll go ahead and remove both of these bolts here. Same with your top one here. And then just make sure your caliper is not going to fall there. Let me reposition my camera. Next, we can go ahead and remove the caliper here. I like to use these little caliper hooks here. You can get these off Amazon. I'll put a link in the description for them. But this will just kind of hook onto something to hold it out of the way here, because you don't want to leave this brake line here with the caliper hanging on it. So go ahead and just slide your caliper off there like that. Stick this hook in, and then, like I said, just kind of find a spot that works. I know that's probably not the greatest there just because of the plastic. Let's see if we can just kind of hook it from the line right there, because this caliper is really not that heavy, so we'll leave it kind of there like that. And then if you want to, you can go ahead and remove your brake pads here. You can just kind of slide these out like that. Next, we need to go ahead and remove the brake caliper bracket here. So you're going to have two 15 millimeter bolts holding that on. So go ahead and break those free. These will most likely be on there pretty tight because they're torqued to 130 foot-pounds. So I'm going to break them free with a breaker bar first. Once you get them broken free, then you can just go ahead and use a socket wrench, get those off. Once you get those broken free by hand, you can usually come out pretty easy here. Just make sure you're holding on to your caliper bracket so that doesn't fall on you. And unscrew these out of here. Go ahead and slide your caliper bracket off. Next, we can go ahead and remove our rotor here. And there is a Torx T30 screw you need to remove. A lot of times people won't put these back in, but if yours does have it, you will need to remove that. I like to just use an impact. You can use an impact screwdriver if you need to as well. But go ahead and remove that screw. Then you go ahead and pull off your rotor here. Now, if you notice, I did just do a video on this showing how to replace the hub bearing here. So if you guys are interested in that, check that video out. I just did that before this job here. So next, I'm going to go ahead and press in the pistons to the calipers here. There's several methods you can use. They make special tools. You can use a C-clamp. You can use a pair of channel locks. But using your old brake pad here, you're going to stick your old brake pad in here. And I'm going to use this style here. I got this off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description for it. But you just get your old brake pad in here, and then you can go ahead and just start tightening this. So this will push on the old brake pad here, which will slowly push in these pistons here. We may need to put it down on the bottom as well, but go ahead and start pressing this in. And I'll put a link in the description for this. You can get this off of Amazon. So go ahead and swap it over to this side just so those pistons go in evenly here. So you can see those pistons are pushing in. And you can also use your finger here and help press that in. But once those are fully pressed in, go ahead and release this. You can take this off of there. Now you can see our pistons are fully pressed in, and that's where the brake fluid's going up this back into that master cylinder reservoir there. Okay, so now let's take a look at our new pads and rotors here. So I ended up going with the power stop. This is going to include the front rotors, rear rotors, and then front and rear pads as well. I got this kit off of Amazon. It's going to be part number CRK5504, and this whole kit was only $223 on Amazon. I mean, if you go to AutoZone and you buy just a single front rotor, you're looking at paying probably around 120 bucks per rotor. So definitely a good deal getting this off of Amazon. Check out the description. I'll put a link in there for this whole kit. And this does include the pads, which are going to be ceramic pads. So these are going to be the rear pads here. There's the part number on that one, 7-999 there. So you can see it does include new clips as well, some brake grease, and then here's your new pads. And then you can see on the box here, shows you that these are the vehicle position going to be the rear. So these are going to be the rear rotors. And what's nice about these rotors is they are geomet coated rotors, so they will not rust. So that's going to be a nice feature on these. You can see there's the rear rotor there, and then there's a part number on those. You got your front pads here. It's going to be a part number 17-1159. Kind of the same thing. Got all your clips here, your pads, and then some brake grease. And then your front rotors, which is what we need now. So you can see these are the geomet coated as well. So these will be really nice for this car. So let's go ahead and get our new rotor put on real fast. So go ahead and grab your new rotor here. Now I'm going to put this on backwards just for a second here. And I'm going to go ahead and spray this off with some brake cleaner just in case there's any grease or anything on there. Get yourself a drip pan there. Just spray that off in case there's anything on that rotor. Now we'll go ahead and flip it. Now when we flip it here, we want to make sure that we line up the screw hole for our Torx T20 there. So go ahead and flip that around. Looks like that's going to line up there like that. Go ahead and grab your Torx T30 screw here. We'll get that kind of screwed in. Just like that. And then again, take my brake clean. I'm going to spray the front side here really fast. So next, let's go ahead and clean up our caliper bracket here. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull out our slide pins. You can just pop those out of the rubber boot there. And then if you want to, you can pop off this boot as well. And then you got these clips here. Let's go ahead and just pop these off. Just use a flathead screwdriver. Pop off these clips because we're gonna put the new ones on here. So just like that. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and use a wire brush here, and we'll clean up where those clips were. So just go ahead and grab a brush, clean out any corrosion, rust, or anything off where those clips go. Both sides. Next, I'm just going to clean out these holes where the slide pins go, just using kind of a brush like this. Just make sure there's not a bunch of debris in there, because you want those pins to slide in and out of there easily. Next, you want to go ahead and grab your clips here, and then also your brake lube grease here. And if you notice on the back here, they kind of show you where they want you to put all this grease here. So what you want to do is go ahead and open up a little opening on this. And not sure if I tore it correctly. Oh, there's the opening right here. So tear an opening up there. And then go ahead and squeeze a little bit of this out here. Now it says you should put some of this where these clips go. So I'm just going to put a little dab right here, kind of where the clips sit in these little grooves here. Do the same thing to the other side. Just a little dab is sufficient enough. And then you're going to take your clips here, and these can only go in one way, so they're going to sit in there kind of like that. So just make sure you snap them into place there. Same with the other side here. Get those set on there like that. Next, you'll want to go ahead and just clean off the old grease on your slide pins here. So just use a rag, get those nice and clean. And if there's any corrosion on these, sometimes corrosion will build up. You want to make sure you use a wire wheel or your wire brush, clean up any of that corrosion. Same thing on this one here. Get all that old grease off of there. And if you want, you can clean up these boots here. And then what you'll do is take these boots here, just go ahead and stick that back on there. Same with this one here. Oop, looks like my clip fell off there. There we go. So get that on there. And then what you can do is take some more of this grease here, and you want to go ahead and coat these slide pins in that grease. And you want to use quite a bit of this stuff. They do only give you this little packet, and you got to make sure you have enough for both sides. So just remember that. Get both of these lubricated here. Kind of like that. And then what you do is go ahead and stick these back in. They should just slide in there. And you want to make sure that the boot pops over this little lip here. So do this one here. So kind of like that. And you want to make sure these move in and out of there freely with no binding or anything. So that looks good. So next, let's go ahead and get our caliper bracket back on there. Now I did go ahead and just put a little red Loctite on these bolts here. You can see there's remnants of old Loctite on there. You can get this off Amazon. I'll put a link in the description for it. We'll go ahead and get your bracket slid over there. And then go ahead and get your two 15mm bolt started here for your bracket. And you got to get this lined up just perfect for those to go in there. Once you get those started, grab your 15mm. Let's go ahead and get those nice and snug here. And I'm actually just going to screw these in by hand here because they go in there actually pretty easy here. We'll get these snug and we'll torque them as well. So I'll just get these snug with my 15mm. So then grab your torque wrench and we're going to torque these to 130 foot-pounds. And this top one you can see doesn't fit on there too well. I'm going to see if I can get a little extension here. See if that gives us enough room. Get this caliper out of the way here. Just move my camera here for a second. There we go. So 130 foot-pounds. Next, you can go ahead and grab one of your pads here. You want to grab the one where the indicator is going to be sitting on the bottom here. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of this lube here. I'm just going to put a little bit onto the ears of the pad here where it goes into the clips there. Just want to make sure you don't get any of this on the actual pad itself. Same thing to the other side here. Kind of like that. Then go ahead and take your pad here. We're going to slide this into the clips there on the top and the bottom. So you may need to kind of press forward as you're pushing these in because that'll push on this clip. Takes the tension off of it. Slide those in just like that. And then now that that pad is in there, we're going to actually put some of this on the back side of the pad as well. That's going to help keep the noise down and squeaking. So just put a thin coat on the back side of the pad there. So just kind of like that. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other side here. So again, a little bit on the ears here. Like I said, you want to use this stuff kind of sparingly, just because they don't give you a whole lot of it. Let's get that on there. And then we'll go ahead and stick this in the bottom one here. And then we'll get it up into the top one. So like I said, you need to kind of slide it forward as you're pushing in there. Make sure that goes fully against the rotor there, both pads. And again, I'm just going to take a little bit of this and we'll rub this on the back side of the pad as well. Just a nice, thin, even coat here. So like that. So next we can go ahead and get our caliper into place here. Let's go ahead and unhook that with your hook. And then we'll go ahead and slide this over the new pads here. Get those slid over. Grab your two caliper slide pin bolts here. get those started. And then you can go ahead and get those snug with your 13mm. Again, you may need to hold this if it starts turning on you. Once you get those snug, grab your torque wrench. You're going to torque those to 26 foot-pounds. Let's see if I can reposition this. There we go. Kind of hard on this top one here. Next, you can go ahead and get your wheel and tire put back on. Go ahead and jack it up here. Get your jack stand out of the way. Slowly lower it. Then grab your torque wrench. You're going to torque all those lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds. Okay, so that's all there is to the front. So now let's go ahead and move on to the rear one there. So now we'll go ahead and jack up the rear. So kind of the same thing. I'm going to go underneath the pinch weld here. We'll get our jack stand set up and get this rear wheel off the ground. So just like the fronts here, I'll go ahead and jack up underneath the pinch weld here. We'll get our jack stand set up as well. Then again, go ahead and use your 19mm 3/4. Take off all your lug nuts, wheel and tire. So now with the wheel and tire out of the way, just like the fronts, we need to remove the caliper here. So you'll have two 14mm bolts holding the caliper slide pins in there. So go ahead and remove those. Get broken free, and again, you may have to just kind of hold this so it doesn't turn on you. So there's that one. Same thing on your top one here. Now we should be able to go ahead and slide our caliper off here. So slide that outward there. Again, I'm going to use my hook here. This caliper is really not as heavy as the front one, so if you wanted to, you could probably let it hang here, especially because you got the parking brake cable there holding it too. But I'll just go ahead and stick this in here and then go off of that hook right there. So now we need to get our bracket off again, but this caliper is going to be actually in the way here, so I'm going to just take this off, and then we should be able to just kind of tuck this back behind here for right now. So just something kind of like that. And just like the fronts, if you want, you can pull out your old brake pads there. You can use a flathead screwdriver. Just kind of pry those out of there. So now let's go ahead and remove the brake caliper bracket here. You're going to have two 13mm bolts holding that on. So go ahead and take those off. Again, make sure you're holding this bracket before you pull it off so it doesn't fall on you. And then you can go ahead and just slide this bracket off. Then go ahead and remove your rear rotor here. So again, you're going to have a Torx T30 screw. Go ahead and take that off with your impact. Then you should be able to pull this rotor off. And if you notice, this is a brand new hub as well. I did do a separate video on this for the rear hubs. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check that out. So now let's go ahead and get this piston pushed back into the caliper. And if you notice on this car here, so not all the Impalas have this, but I think the newer ones, like I said, this is a 2012. So this has the screw-in type piston where we need to turn this in to get it to push back into the caliper. And in order to do that, you're gonna need a special tool such as this. You can get these off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description for it. Or there's just a little square that has a bunch of different attachments on it that hooks up to your ratchet. You can use one of those as well. I'll put a link in the description for that one as well. That's probably a little bit cheaper than a full set like this. So what you want to do is find the correct adapter. So it looks like this one in my kit's going to be this A. So you want these two indentions here to line up into the piston there like that. And like I said, that little square that has a bunch of different sizes on it that I'm going to put a link in the description for, you can use that. So then what you do is this is going to attach to here by a magnet, and then you take this portion here, stick this on, so it goes on there like that. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and get this stuck in there to where those notches are lining up here. So get that in there like that, and then you're going to back this off to where it's putting pressure on this and your caliper. Once you get a little pressure on that, you can go ahead and start tightening this clockwise. And then this is going to slowly push in that piston back into the caliper there. So you can see it's starting to go in there. And then you may need to just back this out a little more so you have that constant pressure. And you'll just want to go until it kind of stops there. So I think right there. Okay, so it's kind of stopping right there, so we should be good. So then just loosen this up, back that out of there. Now you can see our piston is fully pushed back into the caliper there. So go ahead and get that out of the way. So then grab your new rotor. We'll get that put on. We'll do the same thing like we did on the fronts. We'll flip that backwards, spray it with some brake cleaner here. Flip it back over, and then just make sure you line up your screw hole again for your Torx T30 right there. Go ahead and get your screw put back in. And then just go ahead and spray that again, front side. So once again, we'll go ahead and clean up our caliper bracket here. So pump off your clips, just like the fronts. And then you can also pull off your slide pins here, along with the boots. And then we'll use our wire brush. We'll go ahead and clean this up again. Same with our caliper slide pinholes here. Just getting any of that old grease out of there. Then again, we'll take some of this lube here, put that where the clips go on the bracket here. Just like that. Grab your new clips here. Go ahead and sit these in. They'll just snap into place there like that. There we go. So just like that. And then again, let's go ahead and clean up our slide pins here. And then again, we'll go ahead and get our boots put back on here. Get those slid over. And then let's go ahead and lube up the pins again here. And if you notice, one of these does have a rubber grommet on it and that other one does not, so make sure you put that back in the same place. I have this bracket kind of sitting the same way it was, so I don't think it really matters, but just in case. So get plenty of lube on those. Go ahead and slide that in. Make sure that boot pops over the slide pin there. So just like that. Make sure that moves in there freely. Same thing on this one here. So now let's go ahead and get our bracket back into place here. Now I am going to use a little red Loctite on these as well. You can see it had a yellow Loctite, but the red will just be fine. So let me go ahead and get a little bit on these bolts here. And then go ahead and get your bracket into place here. Get that slid over your rotor. Go ahead and get your bolts lined up here. We'll get those started. And then just get those snug here by hand. Go ahead and get those snug with your socket wrench here. And then we'll do a final torque as well. So grab your torque wrench, you're going to torque those to 85 foot-pounds. Next, go ahead and grab your brake pads here. So you want to make sure you grab the correct ones. So the back side is going to have the one with the dot here, because that's what's going to go into the caliper piston there. So you just want to grab one of these, and then one of them without the notch, which is going to go on the front side here. So again, I'm going to take some of the lube here. I'll put that on the ears where it goes into the clips there. So go ahead and put a little bit of that on there. Once you get that lubed up, go ahead and stick your brake pad in here. And you want to make sure the indicator is pointing downward there. So again, just kind of stick that down in there. Get your top one in place as well. Make sure that's pushed up against the rotor there. And we'll do the same to the front one here. Went ahead and got my grease on the ears again. And stick that in. Same with the top one there. Go ahead and push that against the rotor. And then again, I'm going to go ahead and take some more of this lube here. Put it on the back side of the pad. Same with this side as well. So just like that. So now we can go ahead and slide our caliper on. And I think I forgot to mention that. So on this piston here, you want to make sure that this is pointing kind of horizontal. That way, when this you slide this over your pads, that this is going to line up with that. So you want to make sure it's looking like that. So then we'll go ahead and get our caliper slid over here. You may need to push down on one of these just for it to slide over there. Get that into place. Grab your two bolts here. Go ahead and get those started. And then go ahead and get those snug with your socket wrench here. Once you get those snug, grab your torque wrench and your 14mm, and those are going to be torqued to 32 foot-pounds. And not sure if I can get my torque wrench in here on this bottom one. Yeah, I'm just going to hit on everything. So I'm just going to guesstimate on that 32 foot-pounds. right there. Grab your little tire, go ahead and put that back on. Then again, go ahead and raise it up. Get your jack stand out of there. Then again, grab your torque wrench, torque those lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds. All right guys, so I got the back done as well. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side really quick. Like I said, I'm not gonna record that because it's gonna be the same exact procedure. I'll get that side done and then I'll come back. So before I go ahead and start on that other side, I just wanna take a look at my brake fluid level first. So let me take this cap off and I'll shine my light in here. So now you can see that it did rise. So now we're a little bit above where the plastic joins together. And then once I get the driver's side pistons pushed back in, that should raise exactly to the max line, and we should be good. All right guys, so as you can see, got this side all done as well, the driver front side here. And I actually ended up having to replace this outer tie rod end as well while I was in here. Because if you take a look at the old one here, you can see that rubber boot where the grease goes is just pretty much disintegrated. So I went ahead and replaced that while I was in there. And then of course the axle hub as well. Like I said, I did a separate video on that for the other side, but check that out if you're interested. So there's the driver front there. Come take a look here at the driver rear. You can see got the new rotor and pads on there as well. And like I said, it's the same exact procedure for both sides. So now let me go ahead and get both of these wheels and tires put back on and come back. Okay, so I went ahead and got those tires and wheels put back on, got them all torqued and everything. So now let's take a look at our brake fluid reservoir and see where we're sitting at right now. So as you can see, let me remove the cap here. Now that all of our pistons are pushed back into all four of our calipers, you can see our level has risen. So it's just a hair below the max line there, but that should be good. If you wanted to, you can go ahead and top that off. And you want to make sure you use DOT3 brake fluid. So just go ahead and fill that up straight to the max line there, and you should be good. And then one other thing you want to do before you go ahead and take off, you want to go ahead and press down on the brake pedal here. This will most likely sink to the floor. So you can see it sinks to the floor. That's just because all of our pistons were pushed back into the calipers. So just give it a couple pumps and then it stiffens up. You want to make sure you do that before you start pulling out of your garage or driveway, whatever it may be, and you'll have no brakes unless you go ahead and pump that. Okay, so one last thing you need to do is you need to break in the new pads to the new rotors. So PowerStop wants you to follow these instructions. This comes off of their brake pad box here. But what you're going to do is you want to find a kind of like an area that's not really populated. So go easy on your brakes until you get to that area. And what you're going to do is you're going to perform 30 of these. And you're going to get up to 30 miles per hour. And then you're going to pretty much slam on the brakes till you get down to 5. And you're going to do this 30 times in a row. But you also want to leave 30 seconds in between brake applications for cooling. And while you're waiting on that 30 seconds, you don't want to have your foot on the brake because the rotors are going to get very hot and you don't want that pad burning into that rotor. So just do 30 miles an hour, slam on the brakes until you get down to 5 miles per hour, and then just kind of coast for 30 seconds and then get back up to 30, hit the brakes till you get down to 5. So try to do this. You know, they say to do this 30 times if possible. I know it's going to be kind of hard in a lot of city areas. But if you can do at least probably 15 or so minimum, it should be good because you want these pads to break into these new rotors. You don't want to have a bunch of noise or warping or anything like that. All right, so that's going to be it for the video. Again, this was a 2012 Chevy Impala. Went ahead and replaced the front and rear brake pads along with the rotors. I'm going to go ahead and follow in that brake procedure, find an open area and get that done. So I'm hoping this video helps you out. Save yourself some money, do it yourself. And I've put these PowerStop brake pads and rotors on several vehicles. I mean, probably 10 or more vehicles. I've never had an issue with them. They've always performed really well. So like I said, save yourself some money, do it yourself, and check out the links in the description. These brakes are a lot cheaper than if you were to go through AutoZone, O'Reilly's, or Advanced. Any one of those, you'll definitely save some money buying them off Amazon. So hopefully this video helps you out. If it does, why don't you hit that subscribe button, check out all my other videos. I got a bunch on this car, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.